Okay guys, welcome back down the Carbon Car Systems. Today we're pretty excited. We've got these new Ford Falcon BABF units from Overline back into stock, and this is a new version. So this is the version 2. It's just coming out in Australia. They're starting to trickle through a couple at a time, but we thought we're going to run you through some of the differences in this new version, which is a great upgrade for any of you guys out there with the Ford Falcon BABF or even the Ford Territories, where you haven't been able to replace that factory stereo that's getting a bit old now. So these new Android-based tablets and ICC unit will actually do all your climate control on the screen and retain all your buttons along the bottom as well. Now, the cool thing about these is they work with both the dual zone and the single zone climate control vehicles, and they're very, very easy to fit. So some of the new improvements on this model, this second version, really make it a lot easier to fit, and we're going to run you through a fitment guide today as well, but this is the new version. Check out the unboxing. So this is what's going to come in it. You're going to get your matte fascia panel here, which is silver to match all the dash. You could pull that apart and paint it if your vehicle has a different one, but they're only going to come in this one standard color, which is designed for the Ford, okay? And here's the back of the new unit. Now, the reason we're showing you the back here is because they've actually trimmed out all the back caging on the stereo and made it really slimline, so you can actually see that on the side here. And that's really going to make it a lot easier during installation. There's going to be less pushing of the plugs out behind the stereo and less cutting for you guys out there. And we're going to run you through how to fit that up just shortly on our YouTube channel as well. So check that out at Carbon Car Systems. Now, a couple of other things with this new version, we've noticed when they come in the country now, they're giving you a step-by-step instructions on how to install it, which is really, really cool. So you can use that alongside our video if you wanted to attempt the installation yourself. It's not going to be very hard to do. A couple of other key things that now come in the box, which is cool, is a separate GPS receiver. So this is for your mapping. So if you download any of the apps, because this unit does use apps, you can use that to get more accuracy. It does come with a little antenna for the Wi-Fi. It does have built-in Wi-Fi on this unit. And thirdly, which is a cool addition, external microphone for the Bluetooth hands-free, because the unit does have Bluetooth. So that is really, really exciting. It still has the mic on the front of the unit as well if you wanted to use the built-in microphone, but an external mic is always going to be easier or clearer on the phone. So it'll have Bluetooth audio streaming as well. So, pretty excited. We're going to power this all up and we're going to show you it working, and we get tons of inquiries of these. Look, they're in limited numbers at the moment. So this is the Ford BABF Ford Territory unit. It's an Overline ICC unit. Literally, I think they have about 80 in the country only at this stage. There will be more coming. Eventually, they're in manufacture, but when they come in, they take a little while to modify to suit to the cars as well. But for any of those guys out there who've seen our YouTube channel before, this was wildly popular. We sold tons of those, and we expect them to be very, very popular. All right, guys, so we're going to show you how to pull the car apart. Firstly, this is a Ford Falcon Ute BA. This is a single climate control unit, or a single zone. If you have the dual zone, it's the exact same. There'll be a slight change on the circuit board, which we will show you in this video as well, but it's nothing to worry about. Installation is still the same. Very, very easy to do. So you might or may not have gauges up the top here. It's not going to change the install either. This gentleman's got a phone kit in the car. Let's please ignore that. We'll work around that, but it's very simple to do. Straight up, we're going to use a pry bar. We're going to get this silver panel off around the gear lever here. It's actually very easy to pull up. You can just pop the paneling, pop this cup holder open, and you can get your hands under it and just pop that up. Very, very straightforward. Now, a couple of things to notice on this is it's just clips that's straight in. Some of the vehicles you had to pull back a little bit just to make sure it didn't damage anything, but very easy to do. Second step, screwdriver. You're going to undo these little panels. There's little screws on either side of the gear lever, so you can actually move that out of the way. Just here, little Phillips head screws. There's 2 of them. This panel on this car has been broken previously. You can actually see it's already loose here on the right-hand side, but we'll show you there's one here. Undo them. Anti-clockwise to undo it, guys, if you've never done one before. That just fell down. We'll pick that up later. This paneling will then slide out. So you couldn't see that on that right-hand side. It was already loose. We're going to show you on the left here. So if you pull from the back here, where you've just undone the screw, just sort of lift it up, and you pull down, they come out. You can see there's a slot up the top here, and that will slot back in when you're going up and in to return it. So down and in like that, pop down, and that's how to return it back to normal once we've actually got this unit out. Third step is going to be up the top here. We're going to remove the gauges. So another tip, guys, is when you are removing this very top panel and you put your little pry bar behind here and you're going to lift it, be aware the clips are on the left and on the right. You want to put your pry bar as close to those clips and lift so that you don't break the paneling. These paneling, so this is actually how it's going to sit. I'll show you. It actually sits there like this. So be aware that these panels are very, very brittle. So when you see, look at that. See, that's how easy they actually break, okay? So just be aware of that when you're pulling those off. I don't want you guys to break your paneling, so we've actually got a new one here, so it's not going to be an issue. But I just thought I'd make you aware of that, guys, so you don't go ahead and break your cars if you are fitting this yourself, and it will save you a trip to the wreckers. We're going to start at the back near the dash. We're using a plastic non-marring pry bar so we don't damage anything. This is just like your mum's spatula in the kitchen. We're going to do our best to put these on the website. We haven't yet. We've been promising that we will, but we will certainly get it up there as soon as possible. We're looking for affordable ones that we can ship cheaply. Pop it up from the back. It's just going to be a little groove there, and you're just going to pop it in, pop forward. Now, it's important that you do this from the back and pull forward and then slot back, okay? This is very, very important because these clips on the bottom go down and in. So down and in to lock in place. So if you're pulling from the front, you're gonna break those. So just be careful on that. If you do have any of these gauges, you can pop them up and you can undo the plugs if you needed to get them out. It is a very painful process to do that. So we're just gonna sit that back for you guys that have gauges. A lot of you guys out there won't have those gauges. So just sort of sit that back there so it's out of the way. You're not gonna scratch anything. All right, fourth step, screw on the back in the center. Undo that one. Again, anti-clockwise, very simple. Note for this, there is two different types of screws. So you'll actually notice it here. One's a threaded type screw, so you can see it there. One are self-tapping threads. So the threaded one is for up the top. The two self-tapping go down the bottom. So don't get that wrong when you're putting it back into place. Next step, we have 4 bolt holes on either side of the stereo. So there's actually 2 on the left, 2 on the right. We're gonna show you just here. So they look exactly like this one. There's one there, and down in there, there's another one. Now they're an 8mm nut or a bolt, okay? So use an 8mm socket set, and we're just gonna turn them anti-clockwise to undo those as well. We're quickly gonna do this left side for you. We are gonna have to remove this gentleman's phone holder. So we might quickly cut the video, move his phone holder, and show you how to do that as well. Another thing to note, I'm gonna quickly show you as well. Down the bottom here, this car here has a phone addition that's been added by Ford. Now, that's not in all cars, but a lot of the cars have a tissue box holder here or tissues, and we're gonna show you how to undo that as well because it's easy just to pop that out of the way as well. All right. Oh, a lot of thread on these things. There we go. Just make sure when you get it out, you don't drop them. They're 2 threaded nuts, and there's 2 on the right-hand side. We're really gonna slowly struggle to get to them. But if you look at the tissue box that's normally down the bottom, on the left-hand side up the top here, on the left, and the same on the right-hand side is another Phillips head screw. Just gonna undo those ones as well and get them out of the way, and you can only unplug that and pull it forward. So I think you might be able to just get this one. Nah, we're gonna have to remove the guy's phone kit. So we're gonna do that quickly off video and come back and show you how to get the rest of the dash out. All right, we are back pulling this apart. We just pulled his phone kit off, so excuse my hand as we try and undo this in front of the camera for you. There you go, there's the one on the right-hand side. Quickly undo that one, and you can actually pull his phone kit out. So here we go, they pull forward. This one here has a plug for the phone. Push that down, it's a little locking tab. Push it down and pull it out. And on the back of the left-hand side is the cigarette lighter. So you can actually just pop them off as well. You can get that right out of the way. Now that cigarette lighter will be there on the tissue box versions. You will always have to undo that. So just make sure when you put it back in, make sure you plug that back in. We're not going to show you how to put it all back together because it's like literally the reverse of what we're doing. We did mention a couple of those things. Just make sure you put those locking tabs on the top bits and the panels on around the steering column there, or the gear stick. Make sure you just put them in the right way. Okay. All right. Just carefully pull that out. Easy. Now, next step, you probably want to turn it on, make sure you got any CDs out. So we're going to do that quickly as well. Dave's going to check. You got the keys here. All right. Now, a lot of these had 6-stackers or, you know, CD players. So just eject any CDs before you pull it out. You won't be able to do that after. You can see here all the CDs aren't actually in here, which is good. So, cool thing about this new unit, it will work with the steering wheel controls. We're going to show you how to program that at the end as well. Now, this is a little bit of pulling.
Pull the plugs.
Oh, you gotta pull the plugs first?
Yep.
Oh, okay, sorry, Dave just indicated we do have to pull the plugs first. Underneath, there is 4 plugs. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. We might pause and grab a light to give you a bit more of an indication. Okay, so we got a light for you guys just to show you. Now, underneath here, so this is under the stereo, there is actually 4 or sometimes 5 plugs that you actually have to undo. They're right up and under. Very hard to indicate, but what we'll do is we'll show you once we actually get it out. They've got locking tabs on them. You're just gonna put your hand under, feel, push the locking tabs and unplug them. Now, I will show you this. There'll be an antenna to unplug as well. Okay, which will pull out sideways, but the other ones will have locking tabs on the front of them. They're a little bit fiddly to get to. And they do take a little bit of jiggling once you push that locking tabs in. But as you can see here, we're doing it with one hand. Okay, so the top 2 on the left are on the front. The third one in from your left hand to the right hand side is on the right hand side of it. And the 4th one, and sometimes there's a 5th one depending on the accessories in your car. I'll show you that as we pop that out and you'll get an indication of what I'm talking about. So we've unplugged them with one hand. Now we're gonna jiggle this forward. Get that? Pun. Forward intended. All right, so we're gonna pull that forward directly out, and there we have it. Now I'm gonna indicate here on the bottom of the unit, these are the 4 plugs we're undoing, okay? So if you look at it, this is the left hand or the passenger side of the vehicle. When I have my hand under here, I'm pinching it like this because there's a clip here, pushing that in, jiggling it out. Same here, it's right in the middle, pushing it in, jiggling it out. On this one, it's sideways, so I'm pinching from the side, pulling that out. Here's the antenna one, and on the far right, again, it's in the middle, and pulling that out. Now, I'll show you the plugs, so that gives you an indication of what I'm doing. It's actually not that hard to do, sorry, but if you want to see it, it makes it a bit easier to know. So let's imagine this is up in the car like this. All 4 plugs are sitting up like that into the BCM, that's your body control module. And that actually controls all your, let me see and get some more light here. That actually controls all the functions of your car's interior electronics. So you can see the plug here, I would push that tab and pull down. The black tab in the center there, you can see I would push that, pull down. This green one, it's on the side. So it's actually this little bit here, and it's actually mounted like that. And then the gray one there as well. Now, on this version, guys, previously we told you to pop this into the dash on the territories, and it would actually, on a BABF, you might have had to cut previously some of the metal out. This time round, with this new shallow unit, it's gonna clip straight in. You're not gonna have to cut any of that, which is awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. And previously, the body control module sat here and would push against the electronic board if you tighten too hard. We don't think that's gonna be an issue this time. We're gonna test it out on the bench as we do that. So the next step, we're actually gonna pull some of the old wiring, the air vents out, and put it all in the new unit. We're gonna do that on the bench outside the car, so let's show you that as well. All right, guys, the new version of the Overline Ford Falcon BABF replacement stereo has now become available in Australia. So this is the first look at that new unit. This is the second version that's come out. This will fit the Ford territories as well. Here we've got a side-by-side from a factory stereo. We're gonna replace it with this aftermarket version. This is a new Android tablet ICC unit. It has built-in Wi-Fi, apps, dual USB, Bluetooth hands-free. It's gonna do climate control on the screen, so it's gonna be animated. We're gonna show you that in a sec. And this new version is awesome. It's a new slimline version, so the fitment on this is really, really easy to do. We're gonna put a video on our YouTube channel, Carbon Car Systems, and we're gonna show you how to fit that up. Very simple to do, but this new unit is absolutely awesome. You can see the color there. It comes in this one color. This is FPV silver, so not all the dashes are like that, only a few. But this silver will still suit that car no matter what, but this is the most dominant color. You could pull it apart if you wanted to paint it, but I don't think it's necessary. We've fitted them all like this, and they've always looked great in the dash. And we're gonna show you that working in just a moment. So here we are on the bench. So this is the units side by side. We need to do a few things now. We got to move these air vents over, which is going to be one of your main things. And we also have to move some of this electronic board up the top here. This is for the climate control. We are going to move that across as well. And we are going to retain in the bottom here this body control module. So we do need to remove that. So we're going to go ahead and pull that all apart, and then we're going to mount that onto this factory unit, or the new unit, sorry. So let's start this up. So I think the first step we're going to do is we're going to start on the bottom. We're going to use a carpeted bench here. It does look a bit shabby, but it is carpeted. So if you're going to lay it down like this, put a rag down so you're not going to scratch your original dash or damage anything. That's probably one of the most important things you want to do here. Phillips head screwdriver, straight into it. There's just 4 screws. And you can actually remove the antenna section as well if you wanted to do that. There's another Phillips head screwdriver there. We'll undo it just to show you and get everything off properly. There's 4 of them. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. 4th one down here. Now, you can use a drill, but hand screwdriver is probably easier, so you don't thread or damage anything. There you go, that's gonna pop that out. Now, you gotta undo this plug down the bottom, again, just a locking tab, and that will come off. We will put that back in later as part of the climate control. It's one of the sections we're pulling out and we're getting to now. So this has to be retained in the car, or your electronics will not work. All right, let's continue. So we're going to take that off. We actually don't need that, I don't think, during the installation, but we'll pull it off anyway. Now, next step, we're going to loosen the cage. We're not going to pull it all off. We're going to loosen the cage here on the left and right hand side. And we're just going to mainly get this top module and the air vents out is really all we're aiming to get out. So let's go ahead and just loosen the side here. Excuse me, I got a bit of a cold here.
The other side.
Sorry?
You just need that side, that's all.
Oh, you don't need this to get a side? Okay.
One side.
Well, there you go. I've done both sides. Dave's saying we only really need to do the one side.
Yeah.
Oh, this plate here?
Yeah, the whole
plate. The second one down the bottom here. Okay, sweet. So yeah, that's what we're trying to get out there. Dave's indicating, oh, there you go. As soon as I started to undo that side, it's coming off very, very easily. So there's a lot of shortcuts. Dave's done quite a few of these. This is only my second ever one that I've fitted, but Dave's fitted hundreds. Another tip, guys, while you're removing the left-hand side here and trying to take this portion, which is your climate control mounting, out of this section here, you want to slide it up. So you don't just pull it off, it slots down and in. So the way you want to pull it is just pull it up and then it'll pop off, so don't force it off. It's very easy to pull that off. All right, so there we go. We've loosened that off. That's part of the climate control system. And we do need to get the air vents in this top section off. Do we actually need to get the air vents off?
Yeah,
like you can just
screws.
Yeah, we don't need to pop this top bit off, do we? Stay on there. We might leave that on there. We're going to pop this part off here. This is the section of the cable that's just clipped in. So we've got that off. So that gets that little black section off. We're going to continue on. There's a little clip here. That's just a pull-out clip. Now you can cut that off. Be careful not to cut the cables or pry it off. You're just going to put your. I'm using these cutters, and we're going to pry that. There we go. Pries off. It's just a little clip. It sounds like it was more aggressive than it was, and you can pull that off the top. Now, next step, we're going to undo the 2 screws on the top of this climate control electronic board, and that's going to pull that off because there is a screw behind there. So there is 2 screws, 2 Phillips head screws, one on the left, one on the right. This is actually going to go back on into the same position, but we do need to get to a screw that's actually behind there, so we do have to pull it off out of the way. Here we go, lift that up, very flexible, get that out of the way, and that will move across to the new system. Now we actually need to get the air vents out, so if you look behind here, I'll indicate there's a screw here, so one right in the middle. Undone. Next step, underneath, One on the left, one on the right, so 3 screws total. See if we can do this blind. I'll put my head in the camera. No, can't do it. Let's do it. There we go. Screws off, and that's out. So that's easy enough. We're gonna transfer that across. Now, while we're at it, I'm gonna put these screws back in the bottom here, just to keep them original. And I'm gonna pull these little yellow locking tabs, or the clip-in tabs, from the old unit. So we're gonna have to get those off as well. So we're gonna do that now, and then we can do away with this old unit and put it on the bench somewhere else. The easiest way to do these tabs, guys, these just clip off. We're just using a small flathead, just put it behind these little tabs and flick them out, and bend them off. That's what they look like. Very easy to do. Not really hard at all. So see that again there, just sort of clip them off. They're very flexible. You can use almost anything to get those off. If you are gonna flick them around, make sure they don't fly off everywhere under the sun. There we go. All right, we're gonna move them. There's 4 of those. We're gonna move them across to the new one. So now we go to putting it all back together on the new unit. We're gonna take all the clips and we're gonna go around, clip them straight on. They just push on and they'll clip in very easily. Not anything hard to do. There we go. Very, very easy to do. Next step, put the air vents in. That's just gonna slot in and do 3 screws. You can line that up. It's not very hard to do. Make it look hard if I'm not seeing properly. There we go. Line that up on the front. So we're just gonna quickly hold that there and get 3 screws into it. Now it is the threaded screws, the little self-tapping threaded screws that you pulled out. So if you forget or didn't check, it's not the threaded ones. There was some threaded ones there. I'll show you in just a second. Excuse me. Now, one of the things to pay attention to when you do this, like these are sort of going to be a little bit tight. Don't over tighten them because they are threading as they go in. Now, you want to do them up, just check the front, and if you hear it, it's done too tight. Okay, so you want to not hear any grinding. Okay, so if that's the case, it's been done a little bit too tight. Just back them off a fraction, so as not to put any scraping there. And they're not going to come loose or anything. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so no noise, straight up and down. Just test everything's going to work for you. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so that's the way to go there. So just make sure you got no scraping. This is the other 3 screws we had, or 4 screws we had, they're threaded ones. Don't use those. You won't need those at this stage. Now, a couple of things to note. We're going to show you a bit of the wiring on the back here. We are going to modify a little bit as we go. There is this RCA connection that's already been done. That is for the subwoofer, for those guys that had the territories with the sub in the back. So it will retain that factory subwoofer. Okay. So guys, I'm going to give you a bit more information about these units and what the expandability is on them, and explain a couple of the features on the back. So for you guys out there that want to run a bigger audio system or have amplifiers in the car, you can run that. This does have 3 RCA outs. You have one here on the back of the stereo. You have a loose set here, which is your front, and then these are your rears. And then this is your subwoofer output. So it only needs to be the one RCA because subwoofer signals are mono, doesn't need to be stereo. So this is stereo left and right. It is wired into the factory plug because a lot of the cars, or some of the cars, sorry, I should say, like the Territory had a factory subwoofer in it, and this will retain the factory subwoofer. But if you're running an aftermarket subwoofer, you can unplug that and run that to your amplifier. Now, following on from that, if you have the reverse sensors on your car, some of the Territories or some of the vehicles had the factory reverse sensors, you can retain that with this pin, the second pin in from the left. It is actually marked here with writing. So the manufacturer of these is actually writing it on there for you. Now that is a low signal, low voltage signal for the reverse sensing beeping. Now you would have to solder onto that pin or put a plug onto it and then run an amplifier of some sort, like a mini amplifier, which you could buy from J-Car. and that will just take that beeping signal and make it an audible sound. So you'd need like a mini speaker and a mini amplifier. At this stage, it's not a real big concern for you guys out there because, hey, you can run a reverse camera now on this factory screen or this new screen. So this is the reverse camera input, which is this loose video signal one here. Now, you also do have other video inputs as well, so you can run other audio sources, and there's an AV in and AV out, so I should say video signals, and that could be like headrest DVDs or things like that, or you could run a front camera as well. So that's another couple of options. This is just the interface box that will retain your climate control. So that gives you a little bit of a look of the back of these Overline units and explains what a few of those things are. There isn't any user manual as such because using this unit is a tablet based and app based. It's very intuitive and self-explanatory, but there is a instruction app on the unit. So when you go into the units themselves, when they're powered up, there is an app with some more instructions on how to operate the unit. Then you've got this external section, this little black box, which is actually the climate control interface. We're going to show you how to modify that for dual zone and single zone. And then you've got a couple of bare wires, okay? These 4 or 5 here, there's 5 of them. Now, a couple of things we're going to do. One is used for the reverse camera, one is used for handbrake so that you can actually watch video while driving, or your passengers should be. It shouldn't be for you, but whatever you want to do. So, detecting wire for back a car. That one there, the brown one. It's not really good English, but it's just the translation there. That's actually going to be your reverse trigger for your camera, okay? So that's going to go to your reverse lights and it will tell the screen to change over to a reverse camera if you have a reverse camera. If you don't have one, you can now add one on this screen, which is really cool. The black wire, straight earth. So you can run your reverse camera off this earth and off that reverse if you like, and then tap it into your reverse light somewhere in the vehicle, preferably at the back. So guys, another thing with the pink wire, this is actually your remote control wire for your amplifier turn on. We didn't see that in the first installation video that we did because the tag was taken off. So if you do need to do an amp, you can run the remote wire from that pink wire and that will turn your amplifier on. Now, secondary, the main one here we're going to use is this brake detection. This green one, that's the handbrake detection. Now, we're going to earth that out. So we're actually going to wire that to this black one here. And there is a couple other ones here, pink and white, which we're going to disregard. So, green and black, we're going to wire them together, guys. That's just going to allow you, like I said, to use the vehicle or video in motion. Otherwise, it will only work while your handbrake's up. So just sort of strip them back, twist them together. We're going to solder these and tape them up. And then you can tape all those and put them away. But yeah, the brown would be your reverse if you wanted to run a camera. All right, quickly soldering that up, just so it doesn't come loose. Bit of tape here. This is electronic Tessa tape. This is a really good tape. We are going to sell this tape online. It's a cloth tape, factory cloth tape that they use in all the manufacturers or most of the manufacturers out there. It is available from, I think, Stinger Australia as well. We buy it from. I don't know if they sell direct, but we're going to put it on our website for you guys if you want to use that. We're going to tape those up now. We're not going to use any more of those, so you can actually just tape them and keep them there as spare, whatever you want to do, just so they don't touch anything. Now, one of the other things we're going to do quickly, we're going to put the Wi-Fi antenna on the back here while we've got it off. So we've got it over here on the bench, and it's the easiest way is to do it now. On the right-hand side here, you've got GPS and Wi-Fi. So they're the two plugs. This top one will just sort of screw on. It's just threaded, very easy to do. You just got to nip it up. And that will allow you to do any Wi-Fi in the car. So he's going to sort of tighten that up, fellas. I'd say it'd be like a 10 mil. We're going to use a 10 mil socket or not a socket, a ratchet, a wrench to do that up. But just give it a bit of tightness, but that'll stop it moving around. Very tight. And then the GPS will screw on the bottom. Now, one of those next steps here is we're going to put the climate control section back up the top before we forget about that. So let's slot that in. All right. Back into its original holes. Couple of small screws just to hold them in. Very easy. Don't need to over tighten them. Done, easy. Clip the wires in on the side there just to hold them in place. There is actually going to be nowhere to screw that back in, to clip that back in. This is actually going to run down and still clip into the body control module. So we're going to run that down the side there. It's not going to matter, that's sort of loose, it's not going to hit anything, so very easy to do. Next step, guys, we're going to do this. This is the climate control section, and we're going to show you how to undo this because this part is for dual or single zone. Now this car is a single zone, but we're going to show you anyway so you guys know what we're going to be doing if you have the dual zone. Now never fear, if you have, there's paperwork in it so you don't have to forget this. You pop this little electronic board out if you want to get it out. And down the bottom left here, next to this capacitor, so the little black part is a capacitor, there's that little resistor, a little blue resistor just there. And I'll get my hands out of the way. So capacitor, resistor, this one here. You're gonna cut that. All right, if you have a dual zone, you're gonna put a cut in there so it's not connected. And that's as simple as that. All right, guys, and then you can put that back together very simply and easily. And we're actually gonna stick it down. It's got some double-sided tape there. We're gonna stick it down on the top of where traditionally your tissue box would be. On the top here, which is gonna be very easy for us. It's just nice and out of the way. And then we're going to push our USBs through the hole in the back, which has been nicely designed for us. So we're going to do that first, actually get these cables out of the way. So you've got a couple of different cables here, dual USB. This is your reverse camera input into the yellow plug. So if you were running a reverse camera, that is your signal in or your picture in. And these are your short USBs here. So they're just going to punch through into this section. Hang on, a little bit tight. There's one. Hopefully the second one's going to fit in nice. Yep, two. I'm going to pull them through the front, and then you can access them at any time. Then we're going to take, like I mentioned, the double-sided tape off this section. Just going to pull this off. And we're going to stick that on the top here, out of the way. I think that will be okay where it is. All right, so it's just going to double-sided tape up there nice and neat. Now, that's pretty much it for that. We're actually going to get inside the car and we're going to put the BCM back in and plug it all in, and it's going to sit. So this is where the body control module would sit. It's actually going to sit like that in the car when we go back in, okay? There's no need to actually really screw it up. It holds into place really, really well. There's actually a ledge it sits on in the car. It doesn't rattle around, no big deal. We do have to mount a GPS receiver, so we might actually do that now. Now, you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can mount it somewhere in the car, high up under the dash. If you're going to mount the GPS receiver high up in the car, make sure there's no metal above it, okay? So here is, there's not a lot of room. So guys, as we were doing our second unit, we found that the GPS receiver was better to mount on the back here, on the back of the stereo, because that's still going to give you a clear line of sight for the GPS navigation, because there's only plastics above it and then the windscreen, so it's going to be no problem at all. So just twist it up on the back here. Leave this all bundled up. You can sit it somewhere nicely down the bottom here or anywhere on the back when you're installing it, but just stick that on. It's double-sided tape, very easy, and that will sit nice and neat. I'm just going to tape these cables so it runs nice and neat along with the rest of the work here. Very easy. All right, and we're going to screw that into the GPS. We're going to run it around the back of these cables so it doesn't interfere. Screw that in on the right-hand side. And again, that's going to be a 10 mil wrench to tighten that up. I think it's a 10 mil. I haven't tried that yet. Don't take my word on the 10 mil part. And then we're just going to bunch up this extra cable to keep it nice and neat without getting it too all over the place. All right, so that's going to give it enough leeway. Going to have that nice and bunched. You can put the original tie back on there or put a bit of tape. I'm just going to use a bit of tape here. All right, and that's a bit of tape, fellas. And that will look good, so that'll mount up nice and neat as we go into the car. We're going to quickly nip these up before we put it in, and we're also going to show you how to run the external mic quickly in the car, because you want to do that part first before you clip all this in. And then this section here, this little black tail off the back here, this female version, is where the microphone will clip into and plug in nice and neat. So we're going to run that in the car first. All right, guys, it is an 8mm. Now, be really gentle on this. You're just literally nipping it up a fraction because you'll probably tear that out of there. So just to save it rattling loose, that's all it is. So don't over tighten. Okay, guys, we're gonna mount the microphone. So this is the mic now. Now, this has a little spring clip where you actually just push it and it opens like an alligator clip, and it just clips up in your hood lining. Now, very, very easy to do, just to clip that on. This pulls down. Surprisingly enough, ours, we touched it and it flew in 2 pieces of all things. So we're going to actually find a new way to mount that on this car. We're going to put a new clip on there in just a moment because I don't think we have a spare mic here at this stage, being the first one back in the country. But a couple of things. This is a little muff, like a little afro for your microphone. That's just to stop wind. You can probably pull that off if you don't like the look of it and make it a bit smaller. And we're going to mount this up behind the rear vision mirror up here. So it's just going to clip up there nice and neat in the center of the vehicle. It's going to sit like that. That's how it would clip onto the car. The reason we're not going to have the muff on there is because it's not going to get wind in the center of the car. Let's continue. We'll show you how to run the cables quickly, and we're going to fix that off screen. But just going to pull on this pinch weld, this plastic rubber on the side of the car. You're just going to pull it forward. You can use 2 hands. It just pulls on and off. We show this in many videos. It clips on and off, just slides down, and very easy to push on and off. So you're just going to pull that off and pop this forward. So if you pop that forward nice and neat, there we go. That will allow you to run your microphone. So you can run that behind here and pull the lining down. Be careful with these linings. They're starting to get a little bit older on these Fords, and slide that up under to tighten it up. All right, so there you go. It's going to sit up there very tight. You want to make sure you get it down, and we can pull that through from the passenger side here, and that's going to mount nice and neatly up there. So we're going to fixture that. So when you clip this back in, just be careful. These are the little press-in locks tabs that you've got to mount back up. And down here on the dash, there is some locators. Just make sure they slot in. I'll pull it out and I'll show you. These little locators, you've got 2 little locators on the dash that they've just got to slide into. So it's one of those things you don't want to be forcing it, you sort of guide it gently. All right, so you want to get those locator tabs pushed in and slotted in. So I've just done it nice and easily that time. I had to do it twice. And just clip your clips in on the back and make sure there's 2 little holes. There's one here, one here. You're just going to press them. They're going to clip in nice and easy. There you go. And the gap along here should be nice and neat. There will be a gap on the left-hand side here. That's just how they make it. And you can run your cables along, and it's going to sit there, run right down the edging, and you can actually push this pinch weld back on into those gaps, and it's going to hold those cables there nice and neat. So there you go, very easy to do. Now that will run along the bottom, behind, under the glove box. Now you just want to sort of tie it up out of the way. There's actually plenty of cables under there that you can actually tie it to, and you just want to loop it around them or tie it up with cable ties or tape. Here we're just going to loop it. We can't show you under there, it's a bit dark, you're not going to see it on the camera, but just give it plenty of room, tie it up, push your pinch weld back on, nice and neat, so it's never going to fall down in your leg room. And there we go. Pinch weld back on. That's nice and neat. Very easy to do. And we're going to tuck this up into the center. So we're going to show you this, how to tuck it into the center as easily as possible. Give you a bit of light. Here, we're going to run it up here. Okay, just here. Going to pop that. We're going to run our hand under there. This actually pops forward a little bit, and that's where we're going to be heading up through the center. We're going to come out here in the center section. So to give you an idea, honestly, it shouldn't be that hard. There we go, where are we? Let's have a look. You can feel it. Oh, there we go. So I actually pulled it up a little bit lower there. So not out of that top section, I'll come around under the bottom, pull it up through the center, and then you can loop it around the back and come up. And that is where we're going to be for our microphone. So we're going to tie that under the glove box nice and neatly so that it's never going to fall down or get caught in our passenger footwell, and you're never going to sit. That's going to be professionally done. And we're up to putting the BCM back in, and then we're going to clip the unit back in and return it to normal and test out the steering wheel controls. All right, guys, so that's a microphone that we've clipped up properly, so you can actually see how it's actually going to mount on the back of the hood lining there, and then that's just tucked up nicely along all the edging there and down the A-pillar. Let's go. We're going to put the BCM in now. Now, firstly, Dave was just mentioning to me that we can give a good yank on this. This is the AM/FM antenna, so we're going to give it a good yank. Oh yeah, there you go. Plenty of room. Tuck it up around the back here. Best way. We're going to tuck that up around the very back. Let's see here. There we go. Hey, there we go, guys. So that's the antenna on the back there. So that's going to give you plenty of room to plug it in. So probably best to do that firstly. This is the Bluetooth section. We're not actually going to need that on this car, so we can tuck that away in the back because you're going to have a new Bluetooth system, which is going to be much, much better. All right, done. Get some of this old rubbish out of the way. Now, BCM, body control module, guys. This is going to sit in here, okay? So let's show you how it's going to sit in. Vertically, it's like this. This is the top right-hand plug. We're going to do this plug last. This is the climate control plug that we actually put onto the new unit. We're going to plug that in last. We're going to get these 4 in, and that's going to hold it in place, and it sits on this shelf. And the plugs are up through the shelf. And when you put the whole thing back in, it doesn't go anywhere. Very easy. So we've got our external microphone. Our antenna is run up there, ready to go. And let's make sure we don't have any other cables in the way. I think we can pull in some cables there. Plenty of room there, that's good. And that's how it's gonna go. So we're gonna flatten it like that and go straight in. So let's plug them up right now. They're a little bit tight. 1, 2, 3. So I think ideally you wanna be plugging left to right, or right to left. I don't think it matters too much, but just be careful not to short anything. They're really just plugs. See, as you can see that sits in there nice and neat, and you still got this front one here. It's like quite accessible. That's going to be the climate control. We're going to plug this module in, plug the AM/FM antenna in, the microphone. If you had any subs or amps or any additional cables, you could run them now. This new unit does run 3 RCA outs for signal if you're running amplifiers or any aftermarket stereos as well. So pretty easy. So here we go, guys. We're going to put this in the car. There's a couple of things we're going to do. It's really only 4 plugs. You've got this one here down the right-hand side, which is the climate control plug. You're going to keep that. You are going to keep that on the right-hand side there and plug that in last. Get all these cables up out of the way. On the right-hand side here, radio, that's your AM/FM antenna. So you want to yank on that and give it as much room as you can because it does have to go all the way over here. And then you have this plug that goes into the main section. So 2 things to be aware of on this main plug: big pins on the right, little pins in the middle. You see big pins on the right, little pins in the middle. Very easy to do, not a hard thing or not rocket science. And a microphone, external mic if you got that, if you installed it. You might not necessarily have to do that if you're not going to use the external microphone, but we are going to use it. We're going to give it a crack. So here we go. It's going to be hard to show you because it's a little bit tight in here. As you push this in, we're going to do the antenna first. Plug that in, and when you're plugging that in, just don't put a lot of pressure on the front screen because you don't want to be breaking anything. Then we're going to put the clip in, and as you push that in, she'll lock in. So it's a bit hard to show you, I apologise. She'll push all the way in, okay? And it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's not something you can really get wrong. And then on the right-hand side, you just want to make sure this plug's sort of hanging down because we're going to clip that in very last on the BCM. So there's the BCM on the right here. So you can still see my plug, feel around, and we're going to get that in. There we go. Clip facing forward, towards the back of the vehicle when I say forward. All right, and we're going to mount that up.
GPS.
No, not yet. It's got to come lower. I think we're a bit high. What are we getting on? BCM.
GPS was touching it here.
Oh, BCM sitting on. Okay, guys, we did notice the GPS cannot go there. It is definitely affecting the install. So we're going to untape it. And we're going to mount it on the top of the chassis of the stereo. There's a little ledge. So excuse these gauges. Move these out of the way. On the ledge on the back, we're going to try and do this quickly without pulling it all out. There we go. easiest spots. We'll probably edit that video up and we're gonna show a better version so you don't actually make that mistake and then have to change it. But here we go, guys. We mount that on the back ledge there. It's all plugged in. Move this down a little bit.
The wires down the side here.
There you go. Just make sure we've got all the cables out of the way. On the right hand side, that's easy. And here we go as we push it in. All right, all lined up. So there you go. That's not very hard to do at all. Just don't pressure it. It'll clip in nice and neat and beautiful. Perfectly fitted. No issue, no pressure at all. These bolts will do up nice and neat. You have your USBs there with plenty of length on them. We can tuck them away so you don't have them hanging out. There we go. We've got a screen protector on here. You can see the screen protector on the actual screen. We can pull that off at the very end. We won't do that now. Now we're gonna return this back to normal. We're gonna put some screws in it quickly and we're gonna power it up now, test it, do the steering control programming, make sure it's all working, the climate control, everything. Okay, so we've done that up, guys, and we are just gonna punch our cables back in. This is an F6 Typhoon, so these are very space-saving for the room up here or the section up here. So you really wanna make sure you get these cables out of the way, clip the front in first, and then press back. So this one here, very, very tight on the gauges. Well, oh, very sick. Yeah, you really got to have them towards the back. Whoa, very tight, guys, very, very tight. There we go. Done, nice and neat. That wasn't very hard. You just have to fiddle around with that. Don't pressure it, don't break it, okay? So front end first and just clips down, and there is a clip that just pushes and holds that in place. We now have to do the 4 screws on either side. You might want to test the unit first, so let's go and test all the unit before we bolt it up. Okay, so we're turning it on now, guys. Bang, on, Ford. Overline is the brand. Super fast. There's the unit. Straight up onto the music. So that was literally the boot time. That was pretty good. That was really super fast. Down the bottom right here is your HVAC button. Let's test that out. Oh, there we go. Pressed it there. Oi! Nice new upgraded HVAC. So this is all your fan and everything you got here. Oh, so we didn't have the ignition on there. We only had accessories on. That's why it wasn't blowing. So here we go. So there you go, guys. Turning the fan up and down. There's your single zone or dual zone. As you can see here, it moves both of them at once. Everything beautifully done there. Turning it on and off. Sweet. Oh, yep. Very, very good. So check that out. So there is an Android platform. It is super, super fast. This new unit, this is awesome. Tune in radio, you know, we get some apps there. We might play around with that a little bit later. Google, Play Store, so anything you want on there. Dome light, let's press that. Yep, turn the interior light on and off. That's perfect. Locks, testing the locks, traction control on and off. That'll be on the dash. But there you go, HVAC comes up, perfect. So now what we need to do is program the steering wheel controls. So let's find them quickly for you. I've never personally used it. Or not. Here down the bottom right, steer. There you go, on the main screen. So just come one screen over, bottom right, steer, turn that on, press the selected learning function. Oh, there we go. Do it at the same time, guys. So you're gonna hold the button down and then press it on the screen. What it does, volume up, volume down. We have a seek button, so we're gonna make this seek up. Seek up, and what else we got on the back here? We've got a mode button, so we're gonna make that source. So we're gonna press the button on the back, source, and I think that's all the buttons we've got on this car. So we only have 4 buttons, but you could literally map that to other things. If you do want to do seek, you could map it to phone answer or turn the unit on or off. Click done. So let's try that out. Perfect. Look at that, super fast, super, super fast, guys. We might take it to test out the Bluetooth now. We're gonna pair this up on a phone and test that out, make sure the phone call works, the external microphone works before we put our last bolts in and pack it up. Okay, guys, couple of things. Now it's up and running, working really well. We've just tidied it all up, packed it all up. Now, couple of things, Bluetooth. If you want to go into Bluetooth, you do set down the bottom right-hand corner, and it's called SBD Android, and the password is 4 zeros. That will link up your Bluetooth settings, and we're going to test this out live here. 98313288. We're going to try and call ourselves. We're going to make sure it works, and use the external microphone. Yeah, you can hear it ringing in the background. Maybe one of our guys. Hey mate, can you hear us? All good?
Hear you perfectly, loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. That's all done. Thanks, bud. Bye. Okay, so there's the phone call. You just want to call yourselves, make sure the mic's working and it's all plugged in, and that is all packed up. Now, next step, one of the most annoying things I've just found on this unit is every time you touch the buddy screen, it makes this beeping noise. If you go into your settings and go into the sound settings here, so not this one, but over on the sound settings, keypad tone, you can turn that thing off, all right, because it is hell annoying. But there you go, that's much better. But look, we're going to give you a quick rundown on some of the features that it has. It actually have this Navi feature here. Let's go, not specified, they need to set up the nav. Okay, so you have to go through and set up your navigation. We haven't set it up yet. You would go into the Play Store and you can download things like Google Maps, Android Auto, not Android Auto, sorry. Google Maps and any other system on there. You can probably get Waze navigation, there's Navi Free, there's a couple other things that you can get as well. So anything you can get off the Google Play Store Android system, that will be available. Note, this is compatible with Apple's as well. For you that want to download some maps onto this Android ICC unit, you want to connect and log into your Google Store and just download a few maps. So you can get Google Maps, which if you want to use that, you have to be connected to your phone while you're navigating, but you can also download here mapping, which will actually work offline. You could download Waze navigation, but that will be using your phone or some sort of connection to the unit while you're driving. But just download a few of those different mapping systems, and I'll show you. You can actually pair it up to the Navi button that's on the factory screen, or you can just scroll to it like a normal app, but you can actually map it straight to a Navi button, whichever one that you want to use is the dominant one. So we've actually connected to our Wi-Fi first and then doing the download after we've logged into our Google account. Google accounts are free, just jump on, register one and go from there. So here you go, guys. I was just scrolling down, you can see some of the other ones that are actually available. So there's Waze navigation, which is really cool. They tell you where cameras are and things. Offline navigation or Maps Me. So any of these other ones that you want to download, you can actually use for offline navigation. But you can use Google Maps as well. And when you've downloaded it, you can go back to your home screen here. So let's just get out of this. So way back here. And if you go to your Navi screen, this one here, you can actually set it up and map it to a navigation system. So we actually set this to the Google button by accident, but you can tap that, click set, and then set it to be Google Maps, Waze, or the offline, whichever one you want to use as your dominant navigation system. You've got YouTube videos there. We're gonna show you, you can actually watch some of the videos. So there you go, this is a video that was loaded in here already. Nice and clear, so you can skip forward, back, very fast. You got the steering wheel controls. You can actually have them playing in the background. We did have them playing while we're using some of the other functions on the radio. So there you go, it's playing in the background still. You do have your normal AM, FM radio on here. Black out the screen for when you're driving at night if you don't want to see any of that. What else do we got? YouTube's built in already. Steering wheel controls obviously work as well. What's this button? Climate control in the top right. Now, one of the things to note on the climate control, it will disappear after a few seconds if you use the HVAC button. If you're using it on the screen here, you will have to push back or away to get rid of it. There is a button for it on the screen as well, car info. So that will actually bring it up, and I think there's other things on here like gauges. So there you go, in the info section, you've got those gauges if the car was on. And down the bottom, if you use the HVAC button, so we're already in it at the moment, so Dave's trying to show you there, but we'll try again. So yeah, it popped up and down. That's because we pressed the HVAC a few times rather than letting it go away. So if you press the HVAC, it'll come up. If you touch it again, it'll keep sort of popping up because it remembers when you press it. But just let it go. It'll wipe itself away. You don't need to stress about it at all. File manager here, you can actually load things onto it. We haven't paired up with anything at the moment. We haven't put anything on. It's just had a couple of videos built into it as standard. So we were just like selecting from those, but you can probably go into file list Oh, there you go. There's a picture-in-picture, so you can actually use different things. So that's pretty cool. Watch a few videos while you're driving. But that is definitely a cool system. I'm pretty impressed with the upgrades and the speed of the new system. That is just incredible. I mean, they've done a great job there at Overline. They've improved a lot of the things they had on the other unit, like it was a fraction slower than this one. This is much, much easier to fit. Let's get rid of this screen. There's the screen protector gone, and oh, that feels good. So that's a new fresh screen. So guys, if you need the user manual, this is it here on the unit, and it will go into all the different sections of how to use it. Perfect, guys, but check that out. That is a Ford Falcon BABF Ford Territory Overline ICC unit. It is the Android version.